Right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us here again at VanillaIP at one of our webinar sessions. It's a lovely day. I hope you've had a nice lunch. We've got quite a crowd on board already. I'm sure a couple more swinging through the door. So for those of you who are not a member of our reseller family at the present time, welcome. I would invite you to reach out and speak to the channel managers after the session today, but let me just set the scene of what we're trying to do here. VanillaIP has a Cisco BroadSoft core, but we set about the business of trying to create the broadest possible portfolio of high quality services so that our resellers can hit the widest addressable market, show differentiation, and layer on revenue stream on top of revenue stream. So what you're joining us today for is the latest in a series of product additions that we've brought in the last 18 months, quite a portfolio increase in the last 18 months on what was already a very sizable base. But what we're doing today is we're introducing a new form of mobility to the cloud communication service that we offer. But I'll invite you at the end of this to maybe cycle around and have a look at some of the other best-in-class services that we've brought together to support our portfolio. And we do this not just simply by partnering Cisco BroadSoft, but by talking to leading players across the whole marketplace. And today I'm delighted to be introducing into our portfolio our friends at TANGO Networks. TANGO Networks, if you don't know them, have been in the business for some years. And are true professionals in the world of fixed mobile convergence, and their reason for being is to help the reseller channel, to help us independent players make money from the mobile and the mobility of communications, and they're able to deliver to us a very turnkey, very integratable solution to just expand this portfolio and take on some of the challenges which we've always known about, some of which have become more apparent during the last 5-6 months. So it's great to have them on board, great to have another innovator on board, and we're very pleased to be partnering with those guys. In terms of what we're doing here, it's very easy when you have a product with a SIM card involved to start thinking of this as a mobile product, but what we're talking about is mobilization. And in the past, what we've done is we've really looked at mobilization of the call, and in order to achieve that, we have got over-the-top apps, and we've got a couple of different options for over-the-top apps which can sit on a mobile device. We've used call forwards, and there's nothing wrong with that as a methodology to take the call to a mobile, especially for inbound traffic. And we've also got detached mobile services. So as a composite provider, we also have Vodafone and O2 mobile propositions in the more classic sense. But what we're trying to look at today is overcoming some of the disadvantages of that. And when we look at the over-the-top apps, we may run into issues with regards to a reliance on the IP voice path. So mobile data, Wi-Fi availability, that sort of thing, can cause those products to underperform. We've got the risk of unrecorded calls. So when we use call forwards, this can bypass call recording systems. It can leave too many opportunities for people to choose a non-call recorded route. So if either strategically or for a compliance reason you need to record calls, we're looking for a solution that will bolt that down and make that much more secure. And the risk of the customer relationship being lost between the businesses and the client. So it's all about making sure that we're using our own numbers, controlling that client relationship. So when we look at this product, although it looks like a SIM card, I'd like you to envisage it more as a desktop phone in your pocket. We are trying to deliver, or we're delivering through, a solution that basically represents an extension that goes anywhere. It just goes anywhere in a package that either looks like this, a smartphone, and that could be a single SIM smartphone or a dual SIM smartphone if you're incorporating some sort of bring your own device element into your clients' businesses. Or it can go into one of these. So something very simple, something very low tech, something perhaps without a camera in it, which may be a requirement for some of the solutions that we talk about during the course of this afternoon. So in mobilizing the extension, what we're really talking about is taking a SIM card to create a GSM path between the endpoint device and the central communications hub, the Cisco BroadSoft, and allowing it to be driven by the native dialer, or indeed, as I personally find very useful, the in-car voice command system. So we're using the mobile phone solutions as native and the related services to there. Now, this is just an extension, so all of the extension dialing two-way is just as you would have if it was desk to desk. No calls, and if you're running the Uboss call reports and you want to filter out internal calls, including those people who are out of the office, that makes that pretty simple. And this particular device, rather than being a soulless network connection, i.e. have its ups and downs when it's traveling around the country, you do have two networks backing this off. The primary one is O2, the secondary is the EE network, but that means that different users in different parts of the countries could be calling on different networks to deliver that resilient solution. Now, the call recording mandated, I've put on there, obviously if we're talking about MiFID II users who have to make every effort to record and track all of conversations which might go to a financial transaction, that's fine, this is covered. But if we're doing it for training and monitoring purposes, and just wanting to make sure that we're keeping records, or especially, again, if you're driving, if you want to keep a record of a conversation because it's difficult to make notes while you're hurtling down the M6, again, these are the options. All of the options that we offer in call recording can be run across this device. All of the logs and the logging of the reporting of those calls is integrated into the report, and we've even now enhanced the reporting so that you can see which of the devices you've deployed to a user are being used for the call. So if you've desk phone, you've got the GSM SIM, and you've got a soft phone device, the report will actually break down and tell you which device has been used for which call. So quite in-depth level of reporting and giving you true control over the usage, or even the customer's control over the use of different devices that they're deploying. Voices on a GSM path, as we say, and this is pretty critical when we start to talk about some of the other elements that might come through. Traveling, I've said, location of a user, temporary work from home where there's no infrastructure requirements. So again, if there is a mobile phone coverage at home and we're going to put somebody to home and we don't want to use a contended broadband, then this is a very, very clear and simple way of delivering the voice side of communications onto a home user and allow them to just focus maybe on screen shares and that sort of thing, but keep the voice away from that contended route or a contended broadband service. Office colleagues can see you're on hook status, and again, this is just enhancing that whole mobility experience. So now when I'm away, rather than having calls forwarded to a mobile, which is basically a blind cul-de-sac from my colleagues' point of view, colleagues can see whether I'm on hook, whether I'm making a call, whether I'm available, that sort of thing. And it rolls down into this whole scenario of me presenting one number, my business number, and as a business, I'm in control of the number being presented to my clients, and my clients will have a relationship with me on the basis of that. Just some of the other economic considerations when we're doing this. If we're using this, again, this is a landline call. This is your normal extension service. So if you're calling international, you can benefit from the much more aggressive and competitive rates that we have as core landline providers, if you like, against the mobile tariffs that exist. If you are roaming, it is a two-leg call, so there will still be a roaming charge applicable if you're outside the European Union-based countries. So rest of the world environments will have a second part of the leg call, the rest of it's covered within the bundle. But again, we can go through the detail of that scenario so that you can measure up and make sure that you're balancing the correct mobile and mobility PBX scenarios together. eligible to work in with the CRM. I wanted just to bring this one in because I'm a Salesforce CRM user, and one of the elements that I'm able to benefit from here is that if I go onto the Salesforce mobile app and click to dial, it will run the call through my PBX system and then allows me to just record that call or register that that call has been made using the open app on my Salesforce mobile app. So again, just a sideline benefit when you're working with those integrated tools. And finally, just as a note, there is SMS on this, although I think the majority of people will probably not be looking to present the mobile number. They'll be presenting a common landline DDI. There is the ability to run SMS through this. There is an unlimited SMS UK package on the service by default, and it will allow SMS. It will, of course, present the underlying mobile number at that point. And if you want calls to reroute through the system, you will need to put that on as either the primary or as an alternate number on that particular user. But again, our technical team and our channel managers will take you through the detail of that if you require. Just a little word from the security side of things, and for those of our resellers who've joined us for a catch up here today, welcome back. Can't get enough of me, eh? We have a sort of daily credit lock fraud control system. It can work as credit control as well, but essentially it's to stop any runaway costs. And you'll see when you have a look inside our portal that we are able to manage the credit control and credit locking capability on all of the mobile services. So mobile voice, if you happen to be roaming, that's the only time that you'll see charges there. Mobile data, again, anything that's gone outside the bundle or is grinding up charges there. The text is obviously a limit, but there are texts when roaming. So again, there is anything that, and it all relates to charge. So if anything begins to charge, the system will take care of these anomalies that might come through roaming, etc. And then at the bottom, the one that our resellers currently will be familiar with, which is the hosted PBX service seat fraud control system, which is a credit lock system, which if any hacking were to take place would slam the extension down before damage is done. So again, please speak to our channel managers and they'll talk about how we run security for you and with you, and how we guarantee that within our agreement that we have with our resellers. So just whistling through here, I just wanted to share with you a couple of ideas of where we see the marketplace coming through. Health care and home visitors. This is a strong market of highly mobile players who are not yet necessarily using a very sophisticated service. They're calling in, checking in, making sure jobs are logged and all that sort of thing. So again, the device cost can be kept down with simple devices, but the connectivity, the communication is not going to rely on 4G or Wi-Fi, which is often not going to be regularly available for workers in those spaces. Van drivers, traveling salespeople and managers, etc. I've touched on the benefits that somebody like I can derive from having these services. That home worker with challenge broadband, which I talked about. School trip phones. Now, we've got a very tidy package of services for the education sector. And this whole idea of school trip phones, again, a device that maybe doesn't have a camera on it, something that's linked to the switchboard, that's linked to the reception, that can be linked to a specific cube, perhaps, to handling parent inquiries on what's happening while people are on a school trip. So an interesting little nugget, and probably a good example of where a solution like this may not go across 200 users. It may be just used for 5 or 6 users, but again, it's something that allows your salespeople to close a deal based on you being able to give a better answer to part of the problem that or the problems that your customer is seeing. Maybe there's a growing marketplace of people who don't have a business home, if you like. The office is one of the big questions of today. So again, we're expecting to see some mobile PBX players, and this is obviously a solution that makes the mobile extension not just IP related, but generally available to the best widespread voice path that you can get. You should do well with financial service organizations. Again, that whole MiFID II requirement where you can have proper controlled call recording through even the mobile device that you provide for members of your team. You've got doctors and perhaps just staff that don't get a desk phone and are looking for mobility. Again, there are plenty of options to do with IP telephony over the top apps for mobile, but just bringing in something that's on the native dialer and has widespread voice capability rather than IP voice capability is a strong play. So plenty of different angles for you to go for, and to increase your sales people's chance of closing a deal. And so we brought this one today, the HPBX extension. But for those of you who are new to us, this is only layering across a whole bunch of services that come in and help you to close those deals. So earlier on this year, we've seen the full arrival of calls to Teams, so integration with Microsoft Teams. The UC1 Trio, which is the evolution of the BroadWorks soft phone for mobile and PC and laptop, but also giving meeting room capability. Obviously a strong player during the COVID-19 lockdown scenarios. We've also had, these have been deal winners for a while, I suppose, the omnichannel contact center from our partners at Kakapo, meaning that you can go in and deliver not just voice, but voice and text solutions for especially consumer-driven call centers. We've got Go Integrator, so you've got a massive integration with available CRMs in the UK, so they're a leading provider in the worldwide community of BroadSoft. And our friends at Akixi, you've got some really cute, nimble reporting and live management tools that enhance not just call queue environments, but less sophisticated hunt group and small user teams, etc. So the compliant call recording, which I've spoken about a few times, is all to do with a Uboss home-built service. So a very detailed set of tools, both for the management of call recordings, but also the storage and the management of their deletion long term. And still to come into that, and without wishing to give the game away too much before Christmas, we'll be inviting you back to come and talk about probably one of the most exciting developments for the channel, which is the WebEx Teams play. And if I just hint on that one slightly, the integration with Microsoft Teams is a strong play, but Microsoft have a direct route through to customers through their desktop services. I think this WebEx play is going to give our resellers a really strong collaboration suite, but retaining full control and ownership of that customer with less threat from cloud giants. Cisco are undoubtedly a giant, but without quite the same reach straight forward into the customer base. So watch this space. Do come and join us again when we go through there. You'll find a lot of our webinars available on the VanillaIP website. Just go to the webinars page and click for past webinars. And if you prefer to listen to my voice time and time again, you can catch these presentations often in our YouTube channel as well, along with some really interesting marketing tools which are available to you as a reseller. If you're not currently a reseller, then do reach out to us and talk to us about the toolkit that we've got, but also the support incentives that we've got. 12 months free for a PBX core extension license. You will have prospects who are stuck between an old system and the requirement for a much more nimble, less geographically based system. We're working with our resellers to give them a free start to give an enhanced service to their customer base. So that's any new customer that you're bringing to us. The education user has undoubtedly opened up the whole education sector. It's effectively a classroom phone at a specifically low price. And we've introduced a charity package way back at the start of the year, really just to support charities. Very glad we did, because charities themselves need as much support as they can get from us at this moment in time. There's a full marketing pack, including the fact that we rebrand everything, including short videos, social media videos, and that sort of thing for you. There's a CapEx and an OpEx and a mixed option, so we can cut the commercials with you and you can cut the commercials to your customers however you need or wish to do. So 30-day, through to CapEx orientated or term orientated package. And of course, we run sales and product training. We have a wide portfolio. There are some great products. We do all need to go to school on it. And we've had some really great training events over the past year or two, which I think has really benefited reseller salespeople when it comes to bringing these products to life in front of the customers. So lots of opportunity for us all to work together and create new business opportunities and to close them, but to close them with profit as well. Final thing left for me to say is do please reach out to us. Thank you again for joining this very short overview of this exciting HPBX SIM, this new way of mobilizing part of the communications kit that you give to the customers. But we'd be delighted to talk to you in more detail about how the VanillaIP portfolio can be made to work by you to create great new sales opportunities, great new revenues, and a very protected profit margin going forward. Thanks again for your time. We look forward to seeing you very soon.